Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I love to talk all about sewing and making clothes. I hope you're all doing really well and you're having a good week, and if you are in the summer season, I hope you're having a really good summer. We're in the summer holidays, or the school summer holidays here at the moment, so everything has been a little bit more hectic than usual. We've been out and about and doing lots of things, and it's just been really nice to have the children at home. To be honest, they are older now, so they do tend to do their own thing a little bit more than maybe they once would have, but I just like them being at home. So yeah, it's been a really nice break. We've got 2 weeks left of the holidays and then we're back to routine, so I'm going to try and make the most of that. But anyway, I really just wanted to come on and share a video with you today all about everything that I've been sewing, knitting and making recently. So I've got quite a variety of things to share with you today, quite a lot of sewing actually, which is really nice. 2 finished knitting projects as well, a little bit of hand sewing, and also the start of a crochet project. So I'm really looking forward to sharing them all with you today. So let's get straight into it, shall we? So I will timestamp everything in the description below the video, so if you're only interested in sewing and not the knitting, or just the knitting and not the sewing, then you can just watch the bits that you're actually interested in. So first of all, let's start with what I'm wearing, shall we? So I have finished my blanket flight suit. So this was my summer holiday sewing project, if you like. I cut this out at the very beginning of the summer holidays, and I really wanted to just work my way through it over the summer. And I intended to do just say an hour here and there. Actually, it turns out that because my children are older now, they do quite a lot more on their own. And I ended up having quite a bit more sewing time than I realised, which was nice and also slightly sad. But anyway, I got this finished much quicker than I thought I would. So this is the Blanca flight suit. It's by Closet Core Patterns. I think this is quite an older pattern from them actually, I might be wrong. But I think it's really come into its own recently, because these kind of boiler suits and utility suits have been all over the high street recently, and they've become really popular, haven't they? So this is one that I've kind of seen around for quite a while. I didn't really know if it would be for me or not. But as is often the way, I'd seen lots on the high street and thought actually I'd really like to have a go at making my own one of those. So with the Blanca flight suit, there are 2 different versions. I'll pop in the line drawings on screen as well so that you can see all the details. So one of them is a more involved make, I guess. There are a few more details on view A than there are on view B. So for view A, you get the patch pockets. The patch pockets on view A have flaps, and I think you can also put zippers in those as well if you want to. Then there are the standard patch pockets with belt loops. You can add patch pockets to the back as well if you want, and there are also sleeve tabs. It has a collar and the neckline, and then the defining feature of this suit, I think, is the big zip that runs down the middle, and all the pockets and everything just give it that really nice utility feel. So view B, I would say, is a slightly more relaxed version of the suit. So this one has short sleeves, has the patch pockets on the front, and you can use the patch pockets for the back as well. This one has wide legs, and on the picture it's also worn cropped as well. Obviously you can pick and choose whatever length you prefer really. The style on the front is just with the cropped legs, which I really like. So I was drawn more to view B. I really like the more relaxed style of that one, and I thought it would suit my style more. So I'm going to be honest and say that I was pretty nervous about this make, both in terms of the sewing process and also whether or not I would feel comfortable wearing it once it was done. This is a different kind of style for me. It's not really something that I've worn before, and it's not even something that's really appealed to me to wear before. I was totally swept away with high street trends and other versions that I'd seen on Instagram and that kind of thing. Anyway, so with that in mind, when it came to fabric, I really wanted to go with something quite understated, something that wasn't going to draw too much more attention to me in terms of wearing a make that I wasn't necessarily sure I was going to feel comfortable in. So I went for this black gabardine twill fabric. This is a really lovely fabric actually. It's lovely and soft. It's quite structured. It does have a little bit of drape in it though, so it's not like completely structured, if you like. It's not like a denim or a sturdy cotton or anything like that. It's got a nice amount of movement in it, and it's also got a very slight amount of stretch in it as well. So when it came to picking my size for this pattern, I had some trouble with finding my size on this pattern. So obviously with this make, you need to get your sizing right because it is an all-in-one and it's got to fit you over the bust, in the waist and in the hips. So there's quite a lot of measuring and measurements to take into account when you are making something like this. And this again did make me feel quite nervous because I was actually between 3 sizes for this pattern. So my bust is a 32, which puts me at a size 2. My waist is a 26, which put me at a size 4. And my hips are a 36, which put me at a size 6. So I was literally between the 3 sizes. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to trace out this pattern and grade and everything. And it was really putting me off of starting this make. So then one Sunday afternoon, when I realised I just really wanted to get on with this, I just decided to actually grade on the pattern itself and cut straight into the pattern. The pattern paper is that really thin sort of, you know, proper pattern paper, which I actually really like to use. But I do feel like it makes tracing a little bit of a nightmare. And I have tried to trace off a closet core pattern before, the Carolyn pyjamas, and I did find it quite difficult to do. So in the end, I thought, you know, if I get this so wrong that I need to remake it, I'm just going to rebuy the pattern. I don't want it to be putting me off of starting the make. In the end, I did that. I just graded onto the pattern and cut straight into it. And actually, it was quite easy. So I thoroughly enjoyed making this. I really, really loved it. I'll put it up there with making my jeans actually in terms of therapeutic sewing, because it really was one of those makes that just, you did have to take your time and think about it a little bit, and there was lots of top stitching and obviously the patch pockets and things like that. Things that you can just kind of do slowly and just get nice and neat, and I really like that kind of sewing sometimes. So because I knew that this wasn't the kind of make that I was just going to get done in one day, my mental state was that I could just take my time and enjoy the process, and I really did do that, and I loved making this. I wouldn't say there's anything too difficult in terms of making this, other than putting the zip down the middle. So if you're like an intermediate level sewist or sewer and you've made a few things, I think you would be fine with this. I struggled a little bit with the zip going down the front, but I think that was mainly my fabric. So this fabric, as I say, it does have a bit of stretch in it. And when I came to sew this big long zip in, obviously it's quite a long way to sew down. And the fabric did want to twist a little bit and stretch under the zipper foot, but I think, again, as I say, it's just because it's got that twill in it. So I did put the zip in, then have to take it out and put it back in again because I wasn't quite happy with my first zip. So this is probably the most difficult part, I think, of the whole thing. The collar is not really that scary. It's a lovely flat collar. There's no stand or anything in it. And actually it was so well drafted that it all came together so nicely. All the notches matched up, everything, you know, fit into place. One of those lovely patterns where it's just really nice and really easy. I forgot to mention actually that in terms of lovely details, the back bodice of this jumpsuit does have these lovely pin tucks in that you actually pleat. So on the back there's these 2 pleats, and it just gives a little bit of shaping and a little bit of detail. The other difficult thing about putting such a long zip in like this is obviously that you do have to make sure that your waist seam is really well lined up along the centre. Be honest, when you're wearing it, if you wear the belt like I am here, you're not actually going to notice that seam anyway. But just for me, I really wanted to make sure that that was really well lined up. So that was another reason why I unpicked my first zip and did it again. And then because I am only 5'3", when I'd finished with the cropped length, I tried the suit on and decided I just wanted to cut an extra inch off of the leg length. And then I turned it up, and then they were a really nice cropped length for me. So just in terms of how the fit turned out, I am really, really pleased actually with how this does fit across my bust and my waist and my hips. And they were obviously the measurements that I was most concerned about. The only thing that I would say about the fit is that I maybe could do with just a slight bit more rise in like the back legs, because it does want to pull down slightly when I put it on. And you know when you're putting a jumpsuit on and you just have to sort of hike it over your shoulders a little bit because it feels a little bit too tight. I think I could just do with like an extra ½ an inch, maybe even like 1.5 centimeters. The other thing I noticed, I actually wore this out for the whole day yesterday, and I did notice that the shoulders wanted to flop back a little bit. So I think the other thing that I could probably do with is just having these shoulders just brought forward slightly here. So I think this is where they should sit. and where they are sitting is sort of flopping to the back slightly, which is nothing more than just a little bit annoying really. I'm not sure you'd actually notice from looking at a person wearing with that kind of misfit or whatever. But for me, and for the want of just getting this perfect, I think if I do make this again, which I'm sure I will, I'd really like to just tweak those two things. So I think that's probably a forward shoulder adjustment. Let me know if you agree with that. However, overall, I'm just so happy with this make. I really feel comfortable wearing it actually. And in terms of fabric, I think I would always make this with something with a little bit of stretch in. For me, it would feel too restrictive and too uncomfortable to wear it in anything more sturdy than what I've sewn this in. It just makes it so comfortable to wear. This was one of my new patterns for summer, so I'm really pleased to have ticked that off of my list. Let's move on to the second garment that I've been sewing recently, and that is this midi dress. So this was a bit of a spur of the moment kind of project really. A couple of summers ago I made a midi dress hack of the Darling Ranges bodice with the Lyra dress skirt, and I absolutely love that dress. I'll put a picture of it in so you can see it. I wear it all the time and I thought that I needed another one basically. And I had this gingham seersucker fabric in my stash, and you might remember that I bought this recently because I was going to make a Montana dress with it by Style Arc, and then realised once it came that actually I didn't think that was the right fabric for that dress at all, so it's kind of just sat there. So in my thinking about making another Darling Ranges hack dress, I thought, oh, maybe that gingham must do that really nicely. There's a lot of gingham around on the high street and I do really like it, but it's not a fabric or a print that I very often wear, so I thought I would give it a go. I do resize the tiers of the Lyra dress slightly just to make them more wearable for me, so if you are interested in how I do that and the measurements that I use and everything, I have a blog post which explains all of that, so I will link that below the video as well, so you can pop over and read that if you're interested. In terms of the sewing, everything went pretty much according to plan. I feel like I've made this dress a million times, so I could probably sew it in my sleep pretty much, but something went a bit strange for me this time with the tiers, and I think somehow I managed to cut the first tier longer than I normally would, which when I tried the dress on with the bottom tier on as well, it was absolutely huge and came right down to my feet and I didn't want it that long, so I had to chop a bit off of the bottom tier, which has made my tiers end up a little bit funny looking to me anyway, because I've got this longer middle tier and then I've got the bottom tier which is just that little bit shorter, and it does look a little bit uneven on the eye, at least to me it does anyway. So at the moment, I'm not sure what I think about this dress or how I feel about it or how I feel wearing it. When I initially tried it on, I thought, oh my goodness, I hate that. It just made me feel really like frumpy. I thought the colour was a little bit dowdy and it was quite oversized and everything. And I was trying it on a day where I'd been sewing and I had no makeup on. I think I needed a hair wash, and you know what it's like when you try things on when you feel like that. You never really feel as though it shows them off in their best light, I guess. So this is actually hung on the door for a few days now, and I'm going to try it on again today. I actually haven't even been back to this since because I wanted to give myself some space between it, if you know what I mean. Does anyone else do that? I really feel sometimes with my makes I do need to give them that space, and then when I come back to them, once I've had a break from the sewing process and all that kind of stuff, I can kind of reevaluate them with a bit of a clearer head. So after I finish filming this video, I'm going to take some photos of me wearing the dress with my hair done and makeup on and just see how I feel in it then. And I also would really like to have your opinion on this. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you think it suits me or not. It just has a completely different feeling to it than my other floral version does. Interestingly, I'm just not sure if this colour suits me or not. It's a mix of black and beige, and I don't know if it's just not really the right colours for me. And actually, I haven't got around to making a video of this yet, but I've got loads of clips that I need to edit. Over the summer, I had my colours analysed, and I really want to share the results with you. So I'm going to get around to editing that video. I don't actually think these colours were the colours that sort of came out that do suit me the best, if you know what I mean. So I'd obviously bought this fabric before I'd had that done, and I really wanted to still use it. But actually, I wonder if that's what's making me feel a bit funny about it as well. So please do let me know what you think about this dress and let me know what you think I should do about it. If I really end up hating it and not wearing it, I might actually cut it into like a cropped peplum blouse instead and just wear it with my cream jeans or something like that. But yeah, we will see. Next in garments, I sewed myself a pair of linen trousers. So again, I've gone a bit rogue and away from the plans that I did have for this fabric, but I was totally taken in again by all the linen trousers that have been around again on the high street and that I've seen people making on Instagram. I really wanted a pair of linen trousers, and I had this linen in my stash which was actually earmarked for my Smith jacket by Style Arc. But the more I thought about this colour for that jacket, it just wasn't really working in my head. I think I would be much better off with a lighter linen for that jacket. This fabric is from Selfmade, by the way. It's a viscose linen blend, so it's not 100% linen. It's lovely and drapey and it feels quite nice and soft as well. It's nice to wear. So for these trousers, I went to my go-to pattern for a nice wide leg pair of easy trousers, and that is the Tyra trousers by Ploen Patterns. But rather than making the usual elasticated waist that there is included on that pattern, I just decided to change the elasticated waist for a drawstring instead. I've got it all pulled up here. Obviously my waist is slightly bigger than this, but just to show you the drawstring, I've just pulled it all up like that. So normally you would obviously thread your elastic through the channel here and just have a fully elasticated waist. So instead of doing that, I just made some buttonholes at the front of the waistband right in the middle, and then sewed 3 lines of stitching all the way around the waistband to create a drawstring channel, and then I just threaded my drawstring through the middle. So this drawstring is just a little self-drafted strip of fabric basically. I just worked out how wide I wanted the drawstring to be and went from there. Threaded it through, and that's given me a nice drawstring waist rather than an elasticated one. So I actually think that these would have been a bit better if I had elasticated the waist and then done the drawstring as well, because when you do put these on, you've then got to sort of hike all your drawstring in and then distribute the gathers evenly and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you've already got a pre-elasticated waist and you do the drawstring as well, the drawstring is just kind of there for decoration really, and it makes the trousers much easier to pull on and off if they are elasticated as well. This time I didn't actually have the right width of elastic, so I just went with the drawstring, and that's absolutely fine. It just means I have to do a little bit of faffing around with the waist to get them to sit right. So I'm really pleased with these and how they've turned out. I think I would be making linen trousers in all sorts of different colours but it's probably a good thing that I didn't get that carried away, because I definitely don't need that many pairs of linen trousers, especially not because we're coming towards the end of summer now. I feel like my makes this year have been totally different to my usual summer makes, which are usually sort of floaty dresses and skirts and things like that. This year I've been much more wanting to sew things like this, like linen trousers, blouses, things like what I'm wearing. It's just been totally different. Normally I'm all about the summer dresses, as you know. I think that dress that I've just shown you has been the only dress that I've sewn this summer, apart from my Kelly dress. It's funny how your tastes change every year, isn't it? Because I haven't been reaching for dresses either. I've just wanted to wear separate like skirts and trousers and nice cool floaty tops. So next in sewing, I just want to update you on a little project that I've been working on, which is a hand sewn project. So I shared in one of my recent videos that I really wanted to have a go at English paper piecing. I'd seen someone else doing it and I absolutely love the look of it and the idea. It's something that I've wanted to try for so long, to use up my scrap fabrics, and just because it looked so lovely. I'm a big lover of vintage style quilts. I absolutely love making patchwork quilts, so yeah, it has been something that I've wanted to try for so long. So I found this pattern on Etsy. It's a hexy flower quilt, and it uses 1-inch hexagon paper pieces. So let me show you my hexy flowers so far. The fabric for these, by the way, is all used from my scrap basket, so I just pull out some fabrics, decide what I want around the outer edge of the flower and then on the inner edge, and then you just have one little hexie in the middle. It seems appropriate while I'm talking about this project to just give a quick mention to the sponsor of today's video, which is Serious Readers. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you'll know that I've been working with Serious Readers over the summer months, and you'll also know how much I love my HD light. So my light has been invaluable for me while I've been working on this hand sewing project, particularly in the evenings when the nights are drawing in now, even though we are still in August, it's definitely getting darker earlier. And the daylight wavelength technology included in the LED light really makes everything so much clearer, and it's almost as if you're working in daylight without anything feeling too harsh. My floor standing light also has a beam width function, so it's really easy to focus the beam exactly where you need it. And there's also a dimmer function included as well, so that you can tone the light up or down as you need it. So I have been using my light whenever I've been hand sewing in the evenings, but as you'll know, I also use it so much for knitting and crochet and reading as well. It's just great for close-up work, and it just makes everything easier on the eyes. Serious readers have a really wide range of lights available on their website, not only floor standing lights like mine, but you can also get desk lamps as well. There's also a range of colours and accent finishes that you can choose from as well, so it's really easy to blend your light into your own home. Serious readers are offering £100 off of any of the HD lights on their website using my code Sally24. This code also entitles you to free delivery and a 30-day money-back guarantee as well, so you can buy with confidence. If you are watching this video before the 31st of August, then you've still got time to pop over and enter the competition that Serious Readers are running. All you need to do is pop over, enter your details, and you could be in with a chance of winning one of 3 amazing prizes. I'll leave all of the Serious Readers details and information below the video. Thank you to Serious Readers for sponsoring this part of the video. So far I have made 4 of the 36 flowers that I need for this quilt. But I have found this so therapeutic to do. We've had some really quite hot days here in the UK, which has been lovely. We've had quite a nice summer, much better than I thought we were going to have at the beginning of the season anyway. But on those days when it's been above 30 degrees and it's been really too hot to do any other kind of sewing or knitting, this has been just lovely to do sitting in the garden. So I've really, really enjoyed it. So I have this one, which is made from blue and pink. And these hexes around the edge are all made from Liberty Tana Lawn, so I really love that one. Then I've got this pink and green combination one. Another Liberty around the edge, a bit of gingham, and then a bit of rose and hubble in the middle, I think. And then another Liberty around the edge, pink ticking stripe in the middle, and then just a little floral cotton that I had from the days where I used to make and sell quilts for a living. It's funny because I think this one is my favourite now, but when I was sewing it I was thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure if these colours go together, but then when they were all pieced together they looked really pretty, and I love that one. But the way that you do this, just in a really quick nutshell, I will try and film a little bit more of this because I know quite a few people did ask me how you do it. It's really, really easy. So you can either buy or cut hexagons, and you need to have the right measurement. So my quilt uses 1-inch hexagon paper pieces, and what that means is just that the edge of the hexagon all has a 1-inch side to it. So I bought quite a few of these on Amazon because I wanted to make sure that they were cut really accurately. You can cut them yourself, but obviously they're not quite as accurate as having them pre-cut, and obviously that takes more time as well. And then what you do is you get your piece of scrap fabric, you cut roughly around the edge of the hexagon, and then you either baste or stick the edges around to the back of the hexagon, and then when you've got enough of those, you whip stitch all of the hexagons together to form the flower. I've just got one little hexagon here actually. So you can see that's what the front looks like. So this is where it's been tacked together, ready to be whip stitched to all of its other hexagons. That's what it looks like at the back. So you just literally tack or baste through the edges of this fabric just to keep it tightly formed around the hexagon. So you can do this in the old traditional way, which is basting with thread, or you can do it the more modern way with glue. So you can actually buy some glue where you would stick around the edge rather than doing all the sewing. For me, I actually quite enjoy doing the basting process by hand, so that's just part of the process for me at the moment. And then once the hexie pieces are surrounded, you can then remove the paper pieces that were inside and then reuse them for your next hexies. So if you can see from this, I've removed all of the middle pieces, but I still have the paper around the edges here because that will eventually be joined with the white or the filler fabric or whatever your backing is going to be. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this so much, but I have to keep reminding myself that this is a slow process. It's not supposed to be fast. Every now and again I have a little voice in my head saying, you're never going to finish this, you're never going to finish this, it's going to take you forever, and it almost puts me off of doing it. But The thing about having this to do was that I could just pick up and put down a hand sewing project whenever I felt the need to do some hand sewing, which I do from time to time. I do enjoy hand sewing, and it's just nice to have something on the go really, and also I know that I'm using up some of my scraps as well. And I just really love putting the fabrics together. I just find it so satisfying. I love all these prints, they just make me so happy. So yeah, this is a really lovely, enjoyable project so far. So I'll keep you updated as and when I have more Hexie flowers to share. I've just realised I completely almost missed out a machine sewing project. So I'll just quickly share that before I move on to my knitting. So I have been for ages meaning to make myself a new makeup bag. Does anyone else do this? You have a problem in your home, like for me it was that my makeup bag has always been far too small for the amount of makeup that I have. And it was all spilling out all over the place, and I kept thinking to myself I really need to make a new makeup bag, but then just never got around to it. So I was just still using this bag that was too small. So one day I just thought enough is enough, I'm going to make myself a new makeup bag. And as you can see, I've made myself a ginormous one. So I wanted enough room really, because I wanted to put brushes and all that kind of thing in that might be quite wide, so that's why I've made it so big basically. So I thought for this project I would use up my Liberty Tana lawn that I brought on my day out in London I shared recently. I treated myself to a metre of the lovely Liberty Tana lawn when we went out for a day in London, and I went to the Liberties and just allowed myself to buy 1 metre, and I came back with this one. So originally I thought I would make this into a sleeveless top or something, but then when I thought more about it, I thought actually I'm going to see this print much more having it as a makeup bag than I would if it was a garment that I'm only going to wear say 2 or 3 times in the summer. If I make it into a makeup bag, I can see it every single day, and looking at this is going to make me happy every time I go to do my makeup in the morning. So I decided to use that instead. At first I was worried it was a little bit of a waste to use it as a makeup bag rather than a garment, but yeah, like I say, I'm going to get much more use out of it this way. So this is actually my own little pattern. I do have a video tutorial for how to make this bag up, and I will link that video down below just in case you want to pop over and make your own. It's super simple, and when I got on with this, I made this up in half an hour. It was so quick and easy. It was silly for me to put it off for so long. So it has a zipper opening at the top, and then you can line it with whatever you want to really. Sometimes I line mine with cotton. This time I've actually lined it with a waterproof lining, because obviously with it housing makeup, I want to be able to wipe it clean, and you can throw all of this in the wash as well. So if it does get particularly dirty and you want to put it in the washing machine, you can do that and it's going to be absolutely fine. So I really want to make a few more of these because I want them as project bags for my knitting. I've got a couple that I use already for knitting and projects on the go, but I just need a couple more. Sometimes it's nice to make something that isn't a garment, I think, isn't it? Oh, and I forgot to mention that I've added my Wonder Labels Handmade with Love label here, and I think that looks really, really nice. Don't forget, by the way, if you are watching this before the 31st of August, I do have a giveaway running with Wonder Labels where you can enter and win a voucher for £25 that you can spend on anything on their website. They have loads of lovely labels like this that you can add to your projects, and I think it just sort of elevates it. I think it makes it look much more designer, dare I say that, much more high quality, I think, with a little label to finish it off. I really like how that's turned out, so yeah, I'm pleased with that one. Okay, so let's move on to knitting then. I actually have 2 finished knitting projects to share with you. I love how in the summertime I just feel as though I have more time to knit. I guess because we're sitting outside more, I suppose work and things slow down a little bit. So I've been knitting like a mad woman to try and get the 2 projects I had on the go finished. So this is my theatre tank. I shared that I'd cast this on in a recent video, so I think you saw part of it, and I've since finished it. It was quite a quick project really once I got the hang of it and got on with it. So I'll pop in an image of the pattern so that you can see it here. It's a really simple stocking stitch vest tank top. Vest top. It has a rounded neck and rounded armholes, and yeah, I just really like the look of it. I thought it was nice and casual, and I'd probably get quite a lot of wear out of it. I've knit mine from a Stylecraft bamboo and cotton mix yarn. It's a DK weight yarn, but it's one of those DKs that's actually quite thin, and it's got quite a lot of lovely drape to it, so you can see as I'm holding it, it's just draping really nicely, and it feels so lovely and soft as well. This wasn't in the end quite the lace cami that I had wanted to knit over the summer, but nonetheless this did have a few techniques in it that I hadn't tried before, like using a provisional cast on, which I did this time using the crochet method, where you crochet a line of crochet and then you pick up the stitches in that. So basically this is knit in a really strange way. It's a way that I'd never knit anything before in the past. So you start with the back, and you start from the bottom of the armholes and knit up to the top of the neck, and where you've cast on is using the provisional cast on, so that you can actually undo that provisional cast on and then rejoin the stitches. So you knit up to where the shoulders come, and then you separate, hold this neckline on a stitch holder, carry on with the straps, cast on more stitches for the rounded neckline, and then eventually you join the whole body in the round and just knit in the round until you get to the bottom. So I've not knit anything in that way before, as I say, and it was quite a lot of put stitches here, cast on here, hold stitches here. But what I like most about this is that there is no sewing up at the end, which is always my dream. I hate sewing knitting up. Another one of my pet hates with knitting is actually picking up stitches, and you did have to do quite a lot of that with this, because you do need to pick up the stitches for the ribbing around the neckline and then the armholes as well. And actually in the pattern it did say to crochet a line of slip stitches around the neckline and the armhole before picking up stitches. I've never heard of a pattern tell you to do that before, but it seemed like a really good idea. However, when I tried to do it and then I picked up my stitches, it actually looked a little bit more messy than when I just tried to pick up the stitches from the knitting itself, if that makes sense. So I decided not to do that this time, and I think now that this has been blocked it doesn't look so bad. I was a bit worried that it looked a little bit messy actually as I'd picked up the stitches, but blocking seems to solve a multitude of sins, doesn't it? And it looks much better since I've soaked it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this as a standard little knit summer top. I was a little bit worried about the fit the whole way through I was knitting this, because the armholes seemed humongous when I was knitting them, but obviously once you've got this rib added on, it does just bring them in a little bit. And I think the style of this is that it is quite drapey and a loose fit anyway, so I think we're all right, and I actually really like it, so very pleased with that one. And then lastly in knitting, I finally finished my Whitmore cardigan by Taylor S Studios. I feel like I've been knitting this forever, but I did actually take quite a big break from this when I had one sleeve left to go to knit that tank top. So I think that just because I'd had that big break, it's felt as though it's taken me ages to knit. So this is literally hot off the needles. I finished it last night and sewed all the ends in, so it hasn't been blocked yet. So as always, I'll just pop the picture in of the pattern here so that you can see it. But if you watch my channel, you probably have seen this pattern many times. This is actually my third version of the Whitmore cardigan. And I knit this one from a Serdar Cashmere Merino silk, which is a really lovely yarn, and I love this rusty brown colour too. So with this version and my last one, I made the bishop sleeves, which is just where you do the straight sleeve and then all of your decreasing is done in the cuff, just so that it gives that more sort of balloony style cuff. So yeah, I haven't blocked this one yet. I'm just going to put it on so you can see what it looks like. I'm a little bit worried that this is going to be quite fitted, and I'm hoping that when I block this, it's going to sort that out. And it does need a lot of stretching out so that it sits properly, and this lace here is looking quite bumpy, isn't it? So I'm really looking forward to getting that blocked and getting all the lace sitting really nicely. Give it a good soak and hopefully that will sort it out. So I've done the cropped length. This is the waist length version of the cardigan. You can actually knit longer so that it goes down to your hips. I'll just stand up and show you where it comes to at the moment. Obviously it will be a little bit longer probably once I have blocked it. So I think this is going to be a really nice one for wearing with high-waisted things again and over dresses and things. It also needs buttons as well, and I'm just not sure what kind of buttons I'm going to go for with this. It's going to be a really difficult brown to match, I think. So I could go with wooden buttons or something, a complete contrast, but I'm going to have a look and see what I can find. But yeah, this was just a lovely knit. Obviously I've knit this 3 times now, so I'm quite familiar with the lace repeat. I found it quite easy to do this time. I didn't make any mistakes, I don't think, luckily, which is a bit of a miracle, but I think because I have knit it so often, I kind of am familiar with the increasing and all of that kind of thing now. I felt as though I knew a bit more about what I was doing. So once this is all blocked and everything, and when I've hopefully got some buttons, I'll come back and show you it again and just show you the difference that blocking does make, because it really is like a miracle. I'm a complete convert to blocking, by the way. When I first knit garments, I didn't even know what blocking was, and I thought, why would you want to do that? It would just take ages. And also, why would you terrify yourself by finishing knitting something, then completely soaking it and stretching it all out? Why would you do that? It just didn't make sense to me. But yeah, now I know. I think once you've done it once, you have to do it with everything, don't you? That's that one. So I'm out of knitting projects now, and I need to find a new one, so that's exciting. Lastly, a crochet project. I feel like this video is getting very long now, so I will be quick with this one. There's not much to share anyway. But I have started another granny square crochet blanket. So I went to Hobbycraft and just picked up this yarn. It's a Serdar dual spun Aran yarn. I really like to buy these big like balls when I'm making a blanket, because I just feel like you get more for your money this way. So I wasn't too bothered really about the shade of the yarn I was using or anything like that. This blanket is purely just for me to do. It's not necessarily to decorate the home perfectly or anything like that. So I just picked a colour I liked and a weight that I thought would work well for a blanket, and just went from there really. So this is literally as far as I've got with it. I'll probably do more now that I've finished all of my knitting. I did say that I wanted to make a blanket with granny rows, and one evening I just really wanted to start this, so I started a granny square. And the reason for that was because I couldn't be bothered, I suppose, to cast on the chain of the beginning of the granny rose blanket. You know, when you have to kind of, let me know if there's an easier way to do this, by the way, but if you are making a granny rose blanket, you obviously have to do that initial chain of stitches before you start trebling into all the stitches to start off your granny rows. And I hate that bit because it just feels so weird and there's no weight to it or anything, and also you have to kind of guess the width of the blanket that you want. So it seemed a bit easier to me at the time to just go with another granny square blanket and just make it as big as I wanted. So that's as far as I've got with that at the moment. I really like these colour changing yarns because it always feels as though you're crocheting with a different colour, and it just keeps it nice and interesting for you while you're doing it. The last one I made was a similar kind of yarn, a bit more chunky than this one, but it was that kind of colour changing yarn, and you just, yeah, it just holds your interest really, I think. So I'm going to take this away on holiday with us when we go next week, because it will just be something mindless that I can do if I ever want to pick up a craft. And because I've got no knitting or anything to do at the moment, then hopefully I will be able to make a bit of steady progress on that one. Okay, so that's everything that I have been sewing, knitting and crocheting lately. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I do feel as though this video has got quite long, but I did have quite a lot to share, so I hope it's been interesting. I did look at all of my makes actually when I was coming to put this video together and think, well, they don't look very summery because they're all in really dark colours, but I think this year's summer colours, they've been really dark and solid and not very floral at all. So that's just where my inspiration has been going as well. So it's been another interesting thing for me this year as well. I've steered away from florals and gone much more with solids. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As I say, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love you to consider doing so. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as well. Take care, everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Bye.